30 people shot, 2 dead following a mass shooting in South Baltimore. We're live from the scene this morning as we continue to learn what led up to this violent incident. It's one of at least 5 mass shootings in the city this year. We've got continuing coverage of the city in crisis, the calls for change, and just how dire the police shortage has gotten.
And we are under weather alert today due to the potential for strong to severe storms. I'll let you know exactly when the storms are going to develop and what it means for all your outdoor weekend plans in a couple of minutes.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good Sunday morning to you this July 2nd. I'm Taylor Stewart. Thanks for being with us. We're coming on air here with some breaking news. Baltimore City Police are investigating a mass shooting in South Baltimore. Fox 45 was first to the scene and online, sending a team of reporters that tell us gunfire broke out at a block party at the Brooklyn homes, wounding dozens of people. Fox 45's Vince Hill is on the scene. Vince, what are you learning this morning?
Yeah, Taylor, let me go ahead and show you this crime scene and just how extensive it is. Now, you can see investigators in the background still collecting evidence. Now, this happened around 12:30, so go ahead and take a look at the video of this scene when we showed up around 1 o'clock this morning. Acting Commissioner Richard Worley just about an hour ago providing details on this shooting. Here's what he had to say.
Good morning. Just after 12:30 a.m. this morning, officers received numerous calls for a shooting at 800 Gretna Court. Upon officers' arrival, we located multiple victims suffering from gunshot wounds. We located one female adult deceased on the scene. 9 additional victims were transported from the location to area hospitals. Additionally, we had 20 other victims walk into hospitals throughout the region. Our detectives are currently working an extensive crime scene. The 2 deceased victims we have are both adults. We have 3 other victims who are in critical condition. Our hearts and prayers are going out to the families, sending out to the families and friends of these victims, as well as the community and our entire city. This is an extensive crime scene. Our detectives are going to be here quite a while. If anyone saw anything or knows anything, please call 911 or call local Metro Crime Stoppers, 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. We have members of our fire department, Officer Emergency Management, as well as other jurisdictions working with us to try to determine a motive. Again, please call 1-866-7-LOCK-UP, and at this time, I'll turn it over to Mayor Scott.
Now, to recap, there are 30
Download the free Fox 45 Weather Authority app, already in your app store. Just search WBFF to get started. A mass shooting in South Baltimore leaves 30 injured, 2 dead. In our next half hour, the community event that's happening tonight. But right before those shots ring out, where you're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
All right, continuing to follow breaking news here. Baltimore City Police investigating a mass shooting in South Baltimore. This is a live look at that scene this hour. We were first to the scene and online, sending a team of 3 reporters to gather information that indicates gunfire broke out during a block party at the Brooklyn Homes, with 30 people shot, 2 victims dead this morning, 3 in critical condition. In about 20 minutes, we're going to speak to Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor, who was at the scene with reaction from people who live there. Now, this mass shooting is not the first violent incident we've seen this holiday weekend. A 49-year-old was shot yesterday before 4 p.m. along North Eden Street, and a 19-year-old shot around 2 a.m. This was near Central Avenue and Orland Street. Both of those victims went to the hospital. Well, just Friday night, though, another man was shot multiple times in the chest along East 32nd Street. He is still fighting for his life in the hospital. If you have information about any of these shootings, give police a call. Our weather alert day coverage continues after the break. Meteorologist Amy Aronson is going to let us know what you can expect on your 4th of July holiday weekend, and she has some storms in her forecast. You're going to catch that just ahead. Project Baltimore trying to get some answers after state education data is removed from public view and then reposted with some major changes. The official calling our attempts to ask questions about harassment. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all We've got more unanswered questions concerning an ongoing Fox 45 investigation into how the state is reporting student test results. Now, these are test results taxpayers pay billions of dollars for, but over the past few months, many of those results have been hidden from public view. Project Baltimore's Chris Papps is pushing for transparency.
The state actually has a state assessment window.
Clarence Crawford is the president of the Maryland State Board of Education. When Project Baltimore tried to speak with him during a break at Tuesday's board meeting, he said he didn't have the energy.
Can we speak with you after executive session?
I'm exhausted.
So we tried to ask our questions to Zachary Hands, the executive director of the state board, but he said he couldn't speak with us.
We just have a couple questions about the presentation on data suppression.
I can't speak for the MSD side. On the state board side, if there's something later this week that would work for you, let me know what your availability is, and I can get back to you.
I can make myself available at any time.
Our third stop, Dr. Sylvia Lawson, the state's second highest ranking public school official. But apparently, our questions threatened her.
Ma'am, that's all I want to know.
What point are you going to stop harassing me?
I'm not harassing you.
Of course you are. I would appreciate that, sir.
You're the deputy state superintendent. I'm simply asking you about how taxpayer dollars are being spent.
These government leaders are part of a team that oversees how billions of your tax dollars are spent to educate nearly 1 million Maryland public school students. And they refuse to answer just a few questions about this presentation that happened earlier that day.
There is always a challenge when reporting data.
This is Chandra Hazlett, an assistant state superintendent for the Maryland State Department of Education. Tuesday, she gave a public presentation about redacted student data, which followed a series of Project Baltimore investigations that got a lot of attention.
We've got to do better when it comes to being able to present accountable, transparent results.
That's the definition of a cover-up.
Somebody doesn't want you to see that data.
In April, Project Baltimore broke the news that MSDE removed, redacted, and then reposted student test results to its website, replacing much of the data we used to see with asterisks. When the results were further redacted, but only for the lowest performing schools, apparently few people were told about it. There was no public debate or input. Governor Wes Moore and President Crawford said they didn't know about it. Just all of a sudden, less school performance data was available to the public. This is important because the data concerning public schools, how students are doing, can be an important factor when people buy homes or decide what school to send their children to. When Project Baltimore first reported that the state had changed how it reports the data, there was a significant backlash from parents, lawmakers, and special interest groups. So Tuesday, during the board meeting, MSDE gave a presentation on how it suppresses data, but it was missing one very important element.
We are entrusted with their data.
During Hazlett's presentation, she never mentioned how or why the state further redacted the data just a few months ago. In April, the state called the removal of the data enhanced de-identification to protect the privacy of individual student records. This change in how the results are reported to the public, we were told, was federally mandated. But at this public presentation, there was no mention of the additional changes. It's like the past 2 months never happened.
Are you going to be using enhanced de-identification in August when the new data comes out? Because it wasn't mentioned today in the board meeting.
Late Tuesday afternoon, after the board meeting, we sent an email to these government officials asking the questions we tried to ask in person.
You don't think the public deserves to know any of these answers?
Wednesday evening, we received this reply. MSDE does not say that it's continuing enhanced de-identification, but the state does say the data disclosure avoidance methods used in 2022 will continue through 2023. In other words, moving forward, if a Maryland public school performs well, parents and taxpayers can see the results. If a school performs too poorly, the results may be redacted. But for some reason, the state did not explain that to the public on Tuesday when it had the chance.
And with that, I will turn it back over to Mr. Chaudhry, the board, for any questions.
I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
All right, we're also on weather alert this morning, so we want to get right on over to meteorologist Amy Aronson with a look at your forecast today. Some rain, some thunderstorms in our future.
Yeah, exactly, Taylor. Not only just rain and thunderstorms, but the potential for some severe storms, too. So right now, it just looks a little sticky out there. We have a lot of moisture on our hands. You can feel it when you step out. Overcast to begin, with high temperatures headed towards 90 today. We're already in the mid-70s. I am tracking strong to severe storms this afternoon and this evening. Top two threats would be damaging winds and some hail. And the time frame, late this afternoon through early this evening. And here's a look at the weather maker to blame. So first of all, I want to point out all the heat advisories to our south. That's where the high heat is. Now on the edge of that, that's where we see the storms developing as this weather maker heads our direction. So right now, all is quiet on the weather map, not tracking any morning rain. But eventually, later this afternoon, that next round of showers and storms is going to work its way our direction. So this morning, we're just muggy, low 70s to start. Temperatures heat up quickly, mid 80s to near 90 today. I think we break into the low 90s this afternoon. All this heat is going to help trigger some strong to severe storms. Up until about 1 o'clock, I think you're in good shape for anything you're doing outside. After that, move your outdoor plans inside as storms rush in from the west here between 2 and 3 o'clock. I think most likely between 3 and 5 in Baltimore. After that, things should quiet down for the remainder of the evening. So by 8, 9 o'clock, if you plan to do some fireworks tonight, I think you're in better shape at that point. But then we're going to repeat this whole setup again on Monday. We're muggy to begin. We heat things up near to 90, and then we get some widely scattered showers and storms develop during the late afternoon, early evening hours with the potential for some severe weather. So Storm Prediction Center includes us in that slight risk today, 2 out of 5 on the threat level scale. Same actually for Monday too now. So Monday we're also included in that slight risk. Damaging winds and hail, main threats both days. Keep that in mind if you're heading out to the O's game this afternoon. Luckily, it's a little earlier at 12:05, so things should get off just fine. Hot and humid to begin, but plan on a few storms showing up, especially as that game wraps up. So I did throw a weather alert on there for both today and tomorrow due to that severe potential each afternoon and evening. The good news is by the actual 4th, we're in better shape with highs close to 90. We actually stayed in the low 90s through Thursday, and then more showers, more storms by the end of the week heading into next weekend. Taylor?
A mass shooting in South Baltimore leaves 30 injured, 2 dead. Still ahead, the community event happening right before those shots rang out. Now, Baltimore police have a valuable tool in stopping crime with the numbers to back it up. How their command mobile unit is keeping city streets safer wherever it goes. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Breaking news right now. Baltimore City Police investigating a mass shooting in South Baltimore. FOX45 was first on the scene and online, sending a team of 3 reporters to gather information. Now, here's what we know. 30 people were shot, 2 of them killed. 3 of the wounded are currently in critical condition. The mobile command unit was immediately deployed to the scene. Now, through the first half of 2023, homicides and non-fatal shootings, well, they're down in Baltimore compared to this time last year. Entering the July 4th weekend, 27 fewer people have been killed this year compared to last. Well, as for the crime fight, though, that mobile command unit deployed to South Baltimore has been used also as a preventative measure. FOX45's Vincent Hill spoke with a law enforcement expert about how BPD is utilizing that resource.
Chaos captured on video at the Inner Harbor Easter week.
Get your kids, okay?
After a large disturbance of unruly juveniles.
This is Baltimore. This is part of the new normal.
A shooting on Easter Sunday, leaving 2 teens injured.
What we are not going to tolerate is this kind of behavior.
That behavior moving a mile east to Fells Point in May and June. A large brawl at Broadway and Shakespeare, and a police officer assaulted at Thames and Bond Street. Officers rushing in to help, captured on camera. Now, BPD using their own cameras to reduce crime.
The reason why it's effective is it's simply because it's just the presence.
FOX45 noticed BPD rolling out their mobile command unit to those hotspot areas, the Inner Harbor and Fells Point. Law enforcement analyst Melissa Pinkleton explains.
It's a huge unit. It has a tower that escalates, a lot of cameras.
With the mobile command unit comes more officers, according to Pinkleton.
They are way less likely to commit that crime when they know and look around like, ooh, there is quite a presence here right now.
On Memorial Day weekend, the start of the juvenile curfew, the mobile unit posted at the Inner Harbor. No reports of violence that weekend. Last Friday in Fells Point, no known major incidents while the unit was posted there. But 2 days later,
just got a call for a shooting at Golf and Broadway Street. I have no text yet. Still coming in.
I rode past that. Somebody was lighting firecrackers. That was not gunshots.
They weren't fireworks.
Second call for shooting, Broadway and Golf.
Number 1 male shot in the neck.
It was yet another homicide. A 37-year-old shot and killed. Pinkleton says having a visible presence makes all the difference when it comes to crime.
When you're in the kitchen and the kid wants a cookie, he's looking at the cookie jar, but not supposed to get a cookie. Well, if you're standing right next to the kid, he's not going to go get the cookie. And criminals are the same way.
At least 30 people shot at a block party in Brooklyn. I'm Rebecca Pryor, and coming up after the break, I'll have more on the backstory of this beloved celebration that turned terribly tragic overnight.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
All right, thanks for being with us here on this Sunday, July 2nd. I'm Taylor Stewart. We're coming on air here with breaking news. Baltimore City Police investigating a mass shooting in South Baltimore. Reports indicate gunfire broke out during a block party near the Brooklyn homes. At an early morning press conference, Acting Police Commissioner Richard Worley gave us this update on the incident.
Good morning. Just after 12:30 a.m. this morning, officers received numerous calls for a shooting at 800 Gretna Court. Upon officers' arrival, we located multiple victims suffering from gunshot wounds. We located one female adult deceased on the scene. 9 additional victims were transported from the location to area hospitals. Additionally, we had 20 other victims walk into hospitals throughout the region. Our detectives are currently working an extensive crime scene. The 2 deceased victims we have are both adults. We have 3 other victims who are in critical condition. Our hearts and prayers are going out to the families, sending out to the families and friends of these victims, as well as the community and our entire city. This is an extensive crime scene. Our detectives are going to be here quite a while. If anyone saw anything or knows anything, please call 911 or call local Metro Crime Stoppers, 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. We have members of our fire department, Officer Emergency Management, as well as other jurisdictions working with us to try to determine a motive. Again, please call 1-866-7-LOCK-UP, and at this time, I'll turn it over to Mayor Scott.
All right, our Rebecca Pryor is continuing coverage from Brooklyn with more on what happened leading up to this chaos. Now, Rebecca, we're told hundreds of people were gathering there for what the community calls Brooklyn Day.
Yeah, Taylor, that's right. Brooklyn Day. Brooklyn Day is a time-honored tradition in this neighborhood. It is a celebration that has been taking place every year for what I'm told is potentially decades. It has been ongoing for a very long time. From talking to people in this community, you can tell that this day is something that they cherish. It is something that they look forward to every year. It is a time for gathering, getting together, sharing in happy, joyous memories, and unfortunately, today, this beloved celebration has turned terribly tragic. Take a look. This is the remnants of a beautiful gathering that has been ripped to shreds by senseless gun violence. What I'm told from the people that live here is that this is not the debris of a wild night out. This was a community block party where people dropped whatever was in their hands and they ran as fast as they could. Among the debris littering the ground, I saw cell phones, purses, backpacks, jackets, several shoes. You can see one pair here at the corner of the sidewalk and another bright orange pair about 10 feet away in the middle of the road. Women seemingly slipping out of their sandals and continuing to flee barefoot as they ran for their lives. Again, this is a beloved event with music, free food, drinks. It's an event meant for families. Many young people were here, and police have confirmed several juveniles are among the 30 victims. This day, Brooklyn Day, this day people that they look forward to again every year. This day will never be the same. This day will never be celebrated the same. The people that have witnessed this tragedy will never be the same, and the friends and the families of the victims will never be the same. Reporting live from Brooklyn, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
All right, thank you, Rebecca. Our team coverage extends beyond the scene. Alexa Ashwell shot this video from MedStar Harbor Hospital, where we learned a number of victims were taken for treatment. We saw several ambulances and fire trucks and police cars pull up throughout the night. Now, we were first on the scene and on air to report what happened overnight. We've got updates on our website breaking all of this down at foxbaltimore.com. Stay with us right here on TV and around the clock online. Now, this is not the first mass shooting or violent incident we've seen this holiday weekend. 49-year-old who was shot yesterday before 4 p.m. along North Eden Street, just one of several. A 19-year-old was shot around 2 a.m. near Central Avenue and Orland Street. Both of those victims were taken to the hospital. On Friday night, another man was shot with multiple gunshot wounds to the chest. This happened along East 32nd Street, and he is still in the fight of his life this morning. Anyone with information about these shootings is asked to give Baltimore police a call. Now, for the city, this is the 5th mass shooting of at least 5 people or more this year. Now, earlier this year, 6 people were hurt in a mass shooting along Cold Spring Lane in Baltimore. That was just 2 weeks ago when members called for more officers to patrol their area. Baltimore City Councilman Mark Conway, who represents the district, brought those concerns directly to Acting Police Commissioner Richard Worley.
How are we thinking about addressing these issues? Because I can tell you folks are really frustrated, and we can't just say that we're working on it. It takes time.
We're not getting 100 officers anytime soon. I think the next class has only got 20 or 22 in it.
A closer look at the department's staffing problems shows several hundred of the officers needed would be on patrol, walking beats and responding to crime. Now, former Deputy Commissioner Jason Johnson explains that affects the tactics and your overall safety.
We know that the number of uniformed patrol officers out there is not the only factor that's important in public safety. There are many others, but this one is critical. This one, I would dare say, is the most critical. It gets to the department's ability to immediately respond to a crisis.
City Police Union President Sergeant Michael Mancuso says current staffing levels leave only 10 to 14 officers on patrol at a given time each shift in each 9 districts that BPD patrols. Okay, we're also on weather alert this morning due to potential rain and thunderstorms this evening. Taking a live look over the Inner Harbor in Towson, looking clear out there, but those conditions will change. Let's talk to meteorologist Amy Aronson with a look at what we're expecting today.
Yeah, fortunately, all is quiet right now on the radar. So this morning, you're still in good shape for anything you want to do outside. Just a little sticky out there. Very warm to begin. We're already in the mid-70s. Annapolis having trouble with their reading this morning, but everybody else low to mid-70s to start things off. So we've got the moisture. We've got the humidity. You might even see a little bit of fog with all that moisture present. That's the moisture we need for showers and storms later on to develop. The problem is we are looking at the potential for severe weather, too. So not midday. Through midday, I think we're in good shape with highs heating their way through the mid-80s. It's late this afternoon, early this evening that we are tracking the potential for scattered showers and storms and the potential for some stronger storms, too, some of which could actually turn severe. Coming up in just about 10 minutes, I will walk you through an updated timeline for the storms today and actually tomorrow, too, let you know exactly what to expect as we near the 4th of July holiday. Taylor?
All righty now, coming up, the mass shooting in South Baltimore that's left 2 people dead, dozens hurt. In our 8 o'clock hour, we're going to speak with a Baltimore City resident on what he'd like to see from lawmakers following this tragic event. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News Weekend Edition, all local, all morning. All right, right now, Baltimore City Police are on the scene of a mass shooting in South Baltimore. We were on the scene first and online with the latest. We've got a team of reporters that are gathering information. Right now, we're learning gunfire broke out at a block party at the Brooklyn Homes. Dozens of people were wounded. In about 20 minutes, we're going to have a live update from the scene. As you can see, it's still taped up and still an active situation. Our coverage is going to continue now of the governor's message on crime, pressing him on the comments he made on the national stage that seemed to contradict what he said about violent crime in Maryland in the past. Take a listen.
The false narratives of some politicians who say that every urban area is a city in crisis. A false narrative of some in the media who say that violence is everywhere.
Over the past 8 years, the number of non-fatal shootings in the state of Maryland has doubled. Over the past 8 years, the number of homicides in the state of Maryland has nearly doubled.
Now, the governor is saying both can be true after we pressed him on the different lines of messaging when he was talking on the national stage and then the local voter.
Speaking at the press club, you said nationwide crime's been down since the 90s. But when you unveiled your crime plan, you mentioned non-fatal shootings and homicides up. Do you think that gives mixed messages on your take on crime?
It doesn't give mixed messages, it's facts. Because the fact is, in the United States, since the 1990s, we have had a downturn in crimes, in homicides, in rapes. Those numbers are factual numbers. But the other factual numbers is showing that in the state of Maryland, over the past 8 years, we have had nearly double the homicide rate. Over the past 8 years, nearly doubled. That in the past 8 years in the state of Maryland, that the non-fatal shooting rate has doubled. Those are facts. Those are not opinions. And they're not used to point fingers at individuals nor administrations.
Well, FOX45 News spoke with a political analyst who says the governor's rhetoric could indicate he's focused on his future political career.
He is definitely someone people are talking about for 2028. There is definitely a mixed message, but it's a message to two different audiences. Local people, they know what the situation is. National people have no clue what goes on outside the Beltway. They have no idea.
Well, you can decide for yourself. Go to our website right now and you can read more about the governor's message on crime. Just foxbaltimore.com and check it out. It's just one of at least 5 mass shootings in the city so far this year. We've got continuing coverage of a city in crisis, the calls for change, and just how dire that police shortage has gotten. Marylanders are feeling the pain at the pump. Why some lawmakers are saying the current gas tax structure needs to change. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News Weekend Edition, all local, all morning. All right, back on air here now with a live look at the scene in South Baltimore where police are investigating a mass shooting. We were first on the scene last night and to report online as well with a team of reporters gathering information both on the scene and at local area hospitals. We learned this happened at a block party at the Brooklyn homes, wounding dozens. We'll keep you updated throughout the morning. Also shifting gears now on a weather alert this morning due to potential rain and thunderstorms this evening. Hope you enjoyed yesterday afternoon. Meteorologist Amy Aronson, we're definitely looking at some rain today.
Yeah, and we actually ended up seeing some storms yesterday, too. So it's kind of like a repeat setup here where the day starts off warm and sticky, but then showers and storms develop during the afternoon and the evening hours. You can actually see a little bit of the haze right now looking down at the inner harbor. So we've got a little bit of haze reducing some visibilities. Mid-70s to start. Dew points are up. They're in the low 70s right now. When these numbers get into the 70s, humidity is noticeable, and that is currently the case. You can feel the humidity in the air. Kind of feels soupy out there. And we do have another weather maker headed our direction. It's this front pushing in from the west, sending us some additional clusters of showers and storms. This is all right on the rim of that heat that's ongoing in the southeast. Heat advisories are actually ongoing there. And we're going to get in on some of the heat, too. So first, temperatures will heat up near 90, and then this line of pretty feisty storms develops. First in western Maryland around 1 o'clock, arriving here in Baltimore between 2 and 3, and taking us through the early evening hours. Doesn't look like it lasts all night. Looks like it should wrap up between 8 and 9, and after that, things do calm down for the remainder of your Sunday night. Now, Monday, the actual cold front pushes through, and as that happens, we are tracking another round of scattered showers and storms. I think they're more widely scattered on Monday, but we also still have that threat for severe weather, especially in the evening, right around 4 or 5 o'clock. Damaging winds and hail will be our two top concerns both today and tomorrow, too. So for today, the timeline, the time frame for this between 2 and 9 o'clock, hail and wind will be our top concerns, damaging wind gusts. Downpours also likely. Right now, it looks like that threat for tornadoes is fortunately very minimal. That being said, we can't rule that out. So that's another concern to worry about, along with just the thunder and the lightning if you plan to spend time outside. So here's the breakdown. I think up through 12 o'clock, you're in good shape. You don't have to worry about any showers and storms. It's after that they become more likely, especially between 3 and 4 o'clock. Temperatures will still be very warm today, headed for the mid and upper 80s to near 90 degrees. Showers and storms will linger for the first part of tonight, and then eventually things quiet down. Looking ahead to the 4th of July on Tuesday, if you have fireworks plans, I think we're in better shape at that point. Still going to be pretty toasty and pretty muggy, but it looks like we're looking at a mostly dry forecast by July 4th. Leading up to that, though, 2 weather alert days. We are under a slight risk for severe weather both today and tomorrow, so I did throw a weather alert on for both days. A mini heat wave unfolds. That's actually going to take us through Tuesday and Wednesday, right into Thursday, before more showers and more storms develop. That's going to take us through the end of the week, heading into next weekend. Also next weekend, not quite as hot, with highs back in the upper 80s. Taylor?
All right, well, Maryland's gas tax jumped another 4 cents, up from 43 cents to about 47 cents a gallon. It's part of an automatic annual increase in the tax. But with a busy summer travel weekend on tap and expenses piling up all over the place, some Marylanders are frustrated.
It's ridiculous. They're overcharging for gas, overcharging for food. It's like, how can you survive?
It's annoying, but gotta do what you gotta do. Need gas, though.
Well, State Delegate Kathy Sliga joining in on that frustration, saying something needs to change about the current tax structure. Governor Wes Moore agreed, though, for some slightly different reasons.
Every year on July 1st, the gas tax goes up automatically. It's wrong. We need to put an end to the automatic gas tax increase. And you know, every year we try to do that in Annapolis. Right now, it's going to be 47 cents a gallon. And if it continues on the same trajectory, in 10 years, it'll be $1.08 a gallon in taxes.
I'm calling on, I'm asking the General Assembly and telling them we're ready to work in partnership with you in the next session to be able to address the fact that as of right now, the only assets that we have to be able to put towards the Transportation Trust Fund are things that are regressive taxes.
Under current tax structure, a large portion of the money goes to public transportation. Governor Moore says he wants a different source of funding for public transit, though. Coming up in Sports Unlimited, we catch up with the former St. Francis Academy standout Jonathan Lamoth. That's just ahead in his first season with the Terps. Stick with us here at Fox 45 Morning News Weekend Edition. It's all local. It's all morning.
Welcome into your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. Entering Saturday's game against the Twins, the O's hadn't dropped 4 straight all season long. But much like Friday night, the Birds' bats were ice cold for that second game in a row. Kyle Bradish got the start for the O's, and he was cruising for the most part. Gets Alex Kirilloff swinging to end the first. Then he sits down Royce Lewis to end the second. Bradish dealing for the most part, but in the fourth, Joey Gallo gets the best of him. 439-foot blast to right center. That's his second straight night with a home run. Bradish, 6 innings, 1 earned, 7 strikeouts. Usually, when the O's bats, that would be enough for a win. Not the case in this one, though. Bailey Ober taking care of business for the Twins. Strikes out Gunnar Henderson to end the 7th. Bottom 9, Jorge Mateo on second. He can fly. Anthony Santander lines one down the right field line, but it's caught by Max Kepler. O's just 7 hits combined in their last 2 games. 1-0 loss, their 4th straight. Brandon Hyde, what's going on with the bats?
I thought Ober thought he threw the ball great, and Pablo Lopez is really good. We faced last night, so we faced a couple really good starters that were on, and we just had a tough time offensively.
I mean, 162 games, bound to have some stretches like that, so contribute that to baseball. I feel like we're coming up there with a plan, with an approach. Just not getting the results we want right now.
Jackson Holliday continues to impress night in and night out, showing the baseball world why he's the sport's #1 overall prospect. Friday night, he had a 2-run walk-off homer as Aberdeen beat Winston-Salem 5-3. He's batting .321 on the year. Just because players don't post themselves working out on social media doesn't mean they're not putting in the work. Some like to work in silence, but when they do post that content, gives the fan base, gets them fired up and ready for the season ahead. Am I right, Ravens flock? Just like this one, Odell Beckham Jr., Lamar Jackson, and Zay Flowers. They're working out together in South Florida. Those 3 guys have never played a snap together before, and they're trying to get on the same page ahead of training camp. And that's big, especially in a brand new system installed by first-year offensive coordinator Todd Monken. Ravens training camp begins on July 26th. Former St. Francis Academy standout Jonathan Lamoth is living out his dreams of playing Division I basketball. From getting his first dose of a Kevin Willard practice to reuniting with Juju Reese, the Maryland freshman is ready to get after it with the Terps.
Definitely been a fun experience. Just hanging out with my teammates and just making sure I'm everywhere on time. Because it's not like my mom to get me up or anything like that. So just being everywhere on time and just enjoying the process. We've been doing a lot of summer workouts, and I just been, trying my best every day and getting better every day.
What's the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself as a basketball player so far, jumping into that college atmosphere and playing with guys who already have a few years under their belts?
A lot of the game is mental, so sometimes I'm tired, but everybody else fights through. So just seeing Jameer and Juju and guys like that fight through, it helps me fight through and bring strength that I didn't know I had.
As far as Kevin Willard practice, what is that like? It seems intense from how the games go. It seems quick. It seems fast-paced.
It's definitely a different experience. Everything is faster. We move from drill to drill in probably 5 seconds. It don't matter what it is. And then, during our scrimmages and stuff, he doesn't, dog walk you or anything like that. He runs his stuff, and if you either get it or you don't. So, it's just everything is fast-paced and on schedule.
A lot of returners, including Juju, a guy that you played with and a guy that you're very familiar with. How pumped are you to get back on the court with him, throw him some lobs, dish him some dimes, and kind of do your thing out there, you two again, playing on the same court in the same uniform together? I'm
really pumped. We've been able to be on the same team and practice a few times. I feel like this is going to be a big year for Juju because he's getting a shot, he's getting stronger, everything like that. So I feel like it's going to be a good year. Any way I can help him, I want to try to do that, down, all that. So I think I like playing with him, and I can't wait to get back on the court.
There are a lot of people here in Baltimore that know you very well and have seen you play basketball, but there are a lot of people in College Park that haven't. They have no clue who you are, but I'm sure they will in due time. What can fans and the people of College Park expect when Jonathan Lamoth steps on that court for the very first time?
I'm going to bring some scoring. I'm going to bring some playmaking, defense, energy. And I know I'm one of the young guys, but leadership with my voice and stuff like that while I'm on the court is something I'm going to bring, and just winning. That's what I love to do, and that's what I hope to bring here.
That's your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. Have a great Sunday.
Just ahead, our weather alert day coverage continues after the break. Meteorologist Amy Aronson is going to let us know how long we can expect those storms in our region this evening.
30 people shot, 2 dead, 3 in critical condition. I'm Vincent Hill. Coming up, what police say happened here in Brooklyn. I'm Vincent Hill. Let's go and take a look at this scene right here. A mass shooting, 30 people shot, 2 dead, 3 in critical condition.
And we are under weather alert today due to the potential for strong to severe storms this evening. I've got an updated look at exactly when they get started and what threats to expect in a couple of minutes.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you. Coming on air with breaking news out of South Baltimore this morning. 2 people dead after at least 30 people were shot at an annual gathering at a block party near the Brooklyn homes. Thanks for joining us this Sunday, July 2nd. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's head over to our reporter, Vincent Hill, who's live at the scene. He's been gathering details for us all morning. Vincent, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Taylor, we're about 8 hours into this. Go ahead and take a look at this scene. You can see investigators are still here collecting evidence. Now, I want to show some video from when we first arrived around 1:30 this morning. That's a look at the scene. Commissioner Richard Worley giving details about what led to this shooting. Take a listen.
Good morning. Just after 12:30 a.m. this morning, officers received numerous calls for a shooting at 800 Gretna Court. Upon officers' arrival, we located multiple victims suffering from gunshot wounds. We located 1 female adult deceased on the scene. 9 additional victims were transported from the location to area hospitals. Additionally, we had 20 other victims walk into hospitals throughout the region. Our detectives are currently working an extensive crime scene. The 2 deceased victims we have are both adults. We have 3 other victims who are in critical condition. Our hearts and prayers are going out to the families, sending out to the families and friends of these victims, as well as the community and our entire city. This is an extensive crime scene. Our detectives are going to be here quite a while. If anyone saw anything or knows anything, please call 911 or call local Metro Crime Stoppers, 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. We have members of our fire department, Officer Emergency Management, as well as other jurisdictions working with us to try to determine a motive. Again, please call 1-866-7-LOCK-UP, and at this time, I'll turn it over to Mayor Scott.
Now, to recap, 2 people dead, 3 in critical condition, a total of 30 people shot. Mayor Brandon Scott not taking questions this morning, but had this to say to the shooters.
And I want those who are responsible to hear me very clearly. We will not stop until we find you, and we will find you. Until then, I hope with every single breath that you take, that you think about the lives that you took, and you think about the lives that you impacted here tonight.
And right now, there is no suspect or suspects in custody. Back out here live, again, 30 people shot, 2 dead, 3 in critical condition. Now, I did speak to a father here at the scene who didn't want to go on camera, but he said his daughter, who is 17, was one of those people shot. She has since been released from the hospital. For now, we're live in Brooklyn. Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
Coming up at 8:30, we're going to hear from Rebecca Pryor, who recorded this video. She says the stuff you see there on the ground aren't the remnants of a dirty block party. It's what happened when people dropped everything and ran from their lives from this shooting. Now, our team of coverage extends beyond the scene, though. Alexa Ashwell gathered this video from MedStar Harbor Hospital, where we learned a number of people were taken for treatment. We saw several ambulances and fire trucks and police cars pull up at the hospital throughout the early morning. This is the 5th mass shooting in Baltimore this year so far. Peace Chairman Giovanni Patterson is with us live to discuss what the city can do to prevent these kinds of tragedies. I mean, this is a lot. This is heavy. 30 people impacted in this shooting. What's your take?
First off, the only thing I can say is it's sad, and sad doesn't begin to explain the magnitude of what I really mean by that. But I think, this is on everybody. This is from a community, from a city that stopped caring about these things, as like these killings have become normalized, and this is out of hand. But first I want to say that, from a responsibility for my organization, Peace, our job is to bring power back to the people. And the first thing is we have to understand, how do we, measure these things? And first, the mayor's responsibility. In the city charter, the mayor's responsibility is to be a conservator of peace. And when we ask what that means, or ask what's going on in our city, is this a peaceful city? Are we seeing the peace conserved within this city? And I don't think we do. So we need tougher penalties to prevent these type of things. We need the community back involved. We need people just going back out and just doing the simple things. Meet your neighbors. Know who's in your community. To me, I just don't have any real words for this, but we have to just go back to the basics.
I mean, it's left a lot of people speechless, as you can understand. You mentioned the governor taking the lead on this, but I mean, the real question is, should there be a special session on crime? I mean, when you have incidents like these, this is the 5th mass shooting in Baltimore this year. Is there need for the governor to call a special crime to get some legislation on the books that wrangles this kind of mass violence in?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the mayor can call for a special session, locally, but also, the governor can call for a special session, at the state level. And, if we look at the bills that were passed, nothing really addressed, the criminal element, right? People are doing this because they know they can, right? There's no fear. When the mayor just said, I hope every breath that you take, that you think about, these victims, they did it in the first place because they know they can get away with it, right? They know they're not thinking about the victims in the first place. So, when they're saying these things, when they're putting these words out, they mean absolutely nothing. And we do need some serious action to be taken, some meaningful action to be taken from all levels of government, locally and the state level.
I guess the big question is what? I mean, we keep, we talk about this almost every weekend. What needs to happen to prevent incidents like this from happening? You talked about several things: getting to know your neighbors, making sure we're holding our elected our officials accountable. But when you think about the humanity of 30 people being shot in one instance, what can you really do to stop? I'm serious. What do you do?
Well, again, the first thing is you have to stop blaming inanimate objects, right? It's not the guns that are killing people. It's these people that are brazen enough to do and commit these acts. I mean, 30 people, that we know about in a block party. But I want to say this because I believe people, should link to their faith, and there's a lot of this that comes from a lack of faith, and this is from Hosea 4, Hosea chapter 4, verse 1 and 2. It says, "O children," and I'm gonna put Baltimore in here. "O children of Baltimore, for the Lord has controversy with the inhabitants of the land. There is no faithfulness or steadfast love, and no knowledge of God in the land. There is swearing, lying, murder, stealing, and committing adultery. They break all bounds, and bloodshed follows bloodshed." That is exactly what's going on right now. We have a lack of faith in Baltimore City, and we got to return back to the basics.
All right, we'll leave it right there. We're going to keep updating our live coverage throughout the morning. Giovanni Patterson, Chairman for Peace.
Thank you.
As we said, live coverage is going to continue throughout the morning. Stay with us here at Fox Baltimore. If you want an update and a breakdown, we're posting everything online, foxbaltimore.com. Okay, also keep in mind here, we are in a weather alert this morning with severe storms on their way as we speak. Meteorologist Amy Aronson with a look at the forecast.
Yeah, very unsettled pattern this weekend for the holiday weekend. We are off to a warm and actually a dry start this morning. Just feels muggy out there. Mid-70s to get things started. It's already pretty warm. Dew points are also up. So these numbers, when they reach 70, that's when the humidity is noticeable. It's really soupy out there. We're at a dew point of 73 right now in Westminster, 71 in Cockeysville and in Baltimore. You might see a little bit of haze, a little bit of fog. That is just all the moisture that's present, and that's what's going to help trigger some showers and some storms later on. If your Sunday plans take you out in the water for the holiday weekend, I'd say wrap things up between 1 and 2. After that, we're going to be tracking some storms rushing in from west to east and arriving along the bay probably between 3 and 4 o'clock. Now, some of these storms could produce some downpours, thunder, lightning, damaging winds, and even some hail. So that's the reason you want to get off the water at that point. Now, coming up in 10 minutes, I will walk you through a more detailed timeline for the showers and storms today, but also tomorrow, too. I'll let you know exactly what to expect leading up to the 4th of July holiday on Tuesday. Taylor?
2 dead, 28 also injured, 3 in critical condition. This happened after a shooting in South Baltimore. We're going to bring you live coverage throughout the morning on that breaking news in just a few minutes. All right, coming back out live in South Baltimore, where police are obviously still on the scene investigating a mass shooting in the Brooklyn Homes area. These are live pictures of the aftermath of that event. We were first there on the scene around 1 a.m. this morning, sending a team of 3 reporters who've gathered information that indicates gunfire broke out at what is believed to be a Brooklyn Day, an annual block party that takes place, wounding dozens of people. Police are still looking for that shooter. In about 20 minutes, we're going to speak to Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor, who is at the scene with how folks living there are reacting. All right, and 2 other shootings over the past 24 hours in East Baltimore. A 49-year-old was shot just before 4 p.m. along North Eden Street. A 19-year-old also shot around 2 a.m. near Central Avenue and Orland Street. Now, both of those victims went to the hospital. Meanwhile, another man shot multiple times in the chest last night along East 32nd Street. This morning, he also in the hospital is fighting for his life. Anyone with information about any of these shootings is asked to call Baltimore police. Now, through the first half of 2023, homicides and non-fatal shootings are down compared to last year. Last year, 176. This time, 179, so just slightly fewer. Despite 27 people fewer that have been killed, that's down from a historic high. It's consistent with previous years that we've seen. Now, at this point, it comes as Baltimore police are looking to drive down those crime numbers by a show of presence in hotspot areas. Vincent Hill spoke with a law enforcement expert about how BPD is using one of its best resources to fight crime.
Chaos captured on video at the Inner Harbor Easter week.
Get your kids, okay?
After a large disturbance of unruly juveniles.
This is Baltimore. This is part of the new normal.
A shooting on Easter Sunday, leaving 2 teens injured.
What we are not going to tolerate is this kind of behavior.
That behavior moving a mile east to Fells Point in May and June. A large brawl at Broadway and Shakespeare, and a police officer assaulted at Thames and Bond Street. Officers rushing in to help, captured on camera. Now, BPD using their own cameras to reduce crime.
The reason why it's effective is it's simply because it's just the presence.
FOX45 noticed BPD rolling out their mobile command unit to those hotspot areas, the Inner Harbor and Fells Point. Law enforcement analyst Melissa Pinkleton explains.
It's a huge unit. It has a tower that escalates, a lot of cameras.
With the mobile command unit comes more officers, according to Pinkleton.
They are way less likely to commit that crime when they know and look around like, ooh, there is quite a presence here right now.
On Memorial Day weekend, the start of the juvenile curfew, the mobile unit posted at the Inner Harbor. No reports of violence that weekend. Last Friday in Fells Point, no known major incidents while the unit was posted there. But 2 days later,
just got a call for a shooting at Golf and Broadway Street. I have no text yet. Still coming in. I rode past that. Somebody was lighting firecrackers. That was not gunshots.
They weren't fireworks.
Second call for shooting, Broadway and Golf.
Number 1 male shot in the neck.
It was yet another homicide. A 37-year-old shot and killed. Pinkleton says having a visible presence makes all the difference when it comes to crime.
When you're in the kitchen and the kid wants a cookie, he's looking at the cookie jar, but not supposed to get a cookie. Well, if you're standing right next to the kid, he's not going to go get the cookie. And criminals are the same way.
Now, for Baltimore, this is the 5th mass shooting of at least 5 people or more this year. Just 2 weeks ago, 6 people were hurt in a mass shooting near a bus stop along Cold Spring Lane. Then community members called for more police officers to patrol their area. Baltimore City Councilman Mark Conway, who represents the district, brought those concerns directly to Acting Commissioner Richard Worley.
How are we thinking about addressing these issues? Because I can tell you, folks are really frustrated, and we can't just say that we're working on it. It takes time.
We're not getting 100 officers anytime soon. I think the next class has only got 20 or 22 in it.
A closer look at the department's staffing problems shows several hundred of the officers needed would be on patrol, walking beats and responding to crime. The Baltimore Police Union says current staffing levels, though, only leave about a dozen officers on patrol at any given time in each of the 9 districts. City leaders also pointed to Baltimore's youth curfew as a way to limit crime, especially among juveniles, which has been up this year. But a representative from the mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement says no children have been taken to connection centers since the curfew started almost a month ago. Last week, the city closed one of those connection centers, leaving only one that is now open. Recreational marijuana now legal in Maryland. Coming up, what this means for people with previous convictions. But first, 2 killed, dozens injured in a mass shooting in South Baltimore. A live look now at the scene at the aftermath of that shooting. Our breaking news coverage continues right after the break. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News Weekend Edition, all local, all morning. Continuing coverage this morning of the devastation in one South Baltimore community following a mass shooting in the Brooklyn Homes neighborhood. 30 people shot total, 2 of them killed. Right now, 3 people are in critical condition. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor is still at the scene, as she's been for hours. She'll have more on what led up to this violent incident. We're starting off here on a weather alert this Sunday morning. Let's get right on over to meteorologist Amy Aronson, because we've got some storms in our future.
Yeah, we sure do. It's been kind of an unsettled weekend. We've had the heat, the humidity, and the chance for storms, and that pattern's going to continue today. We're at 76 right now, a little humid out there, a little sticky already. We're headed towards 90 today, which would actually also kick off a heat wave. We're also tracking strong to severe storms, damaging winds and hail being our top 2 concerns. The time frame for this coming late this afternoon through early this evening. And here's a look at the setup. First, we've got some heat across the southeast. The orange indicates a heat advisory there. On the edge of that, or the rim of that, that's where we're seeing the storms fire up. A couple of clusters now ahead of that cold front that's charging our direction, and that's what's going to head our way today. Right now, weather map loop looks pretty quiet. No storms reaching us just yet, but they are headed our direction. So let's time it out. Mid-80s as early as 10 a.m., so already heating up. We make a run for the low 90s before these storms develop west of here. I think around 2 o'clock they reach our western counties, and then it looks like between 3 and 4 and 5, that's when they push through the Baltimore area. You'll notice they're scattered, but where they develop, they could be pretty feisty, and they will continue up through sunset tonight. It looks like even through 11 o'clock now, we'll see some showers linger. After that, things calm down. Tomorrow starts off quiet and muggy too, but a similar setup. First, we heat up into the low 90s, and then we see some widely scattered showers and storms develop late in the afternoon through early in the evening, and they will continue Monday night. So because of that, we've got 2 weather alerts in a row. First, coming up today, we're included in that slight risk, 2 out of 5 on that little threat level scale at the top of the screen. Main concerns being damaging winds and hail and downpours too. And same for Monday. Same exact threat, same exact area, pretty much. Everybody included in that as we get into your Monday. If you're headed out to Camden Yards for the baseball game today, I think it's primarily hot and humid for that. I think the storms will hold off until things wrap up. but do be prepared for a spotty storm, maybe as you're heading home from the game later this afternoon, with highs headed into the upper 80s to near 90 at that point. So we do have weather alert both today and Monday, too. So be prepared for some strong to severe storms both afternoons and both evenings. Otherwise, it's going to be hot and steamy. Low 90s both days. Actually, the start of a heat wave that will take us through the holiday on July 4th. Also take note, that looks like one of the drier days in the next 7 days. Wednesday also stays drier. We're still toasty on Thursday, but we do see some spotty storms return. And then it looks like scattered storms are likely again Friday into Saturday, with highs backing off into the upper 80s. Taylor?
All right. Coming up, though, a mass shooting in South Baltimore leaves 2 dead, dozens hurt. We're going to talk to with a former Maryland attorney, General Doug Gansler. We're going to talk about the tragedy. We're going to break it down and have another update for you in 10 minutes here on Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. A green light to light up in Maryland. Recreational marijuana is now legal. We'll get to that story in just a bit, but we're coming back on air with the update on that mass shooting in just a few minutes. Well, weed enthusiasts are out early looking to get their hands on their first legal doses of cannabis products. From Baltimore to Timonium, long lines of people as they celebrated the historic day. Now, cannabis shop owners say they prepared for July 1st for years in many cases, and many people say the legalization of pot is long overdue.
We've added staff, we've added product, we've added security. We put in a secure pickup window right behind me that's functioning to help take this influx, this new wave of interest that we're seeing efficiently, because we want it still to be a great experience for everybody.
I think it's gonna be crazy. Yeah? Yeah. I don't know how y'all gonna keep up with it. If y'all gonna give everybody an ounce and a half and then it's gonna reset, I don't know how that's gonna work.
But it's great to have new people out. You know, our focus has been always very much wellness centered on what this product can do to improve quality of life.
The impact of yesterday's legalization being felt near and far beyond smoke shops. We looked into the legal ramifications, too, and how people who have had previous marijuana convictions can now get those charges expunged. It's official. Recreational marijuana now legal in Maryland, with ripple effects in the hemp industry, retail sales, and the criminal justice system.
What we're seeing is now kind of a tiered system.
Maryland legal aid attorney Corey Warren says it's a shift away from the criminalization of pot possession, but it's not a free-for-all.
1.5 ounces, this is like a fancy chocolate I've got, that's about 1.5 ounces. So it's going to look about the size of this.
Pot possession up to 2.5 ounces is subject to a civil citation.
And then anything above 2.5 ounces is still criminal in the state of Maryland.
The Maryland Department of Legislative Services estimates around 15,000 people in the state were arrested for cannabis-related charges between 2018 and 2020. Now, those convicted of simple possession can get the charge cleared from their record.
This is a simple petition process where you can file directly with the court to have this case removed. Normally there was a 3-year waiting period, but that's no longer the case for marijuana possession charges.
The legalization of pot represents changing attitudes of people not only in Baltimore, but across the country, as Maryland joins at least 24 other states or territories where weed is legal.
We spend too much time and money prosecuting this drug that isn't as dangerous as other things we could be focusing on.
Despite the changes, the underground economy for marijuana still exists.
That's Baltimore County Police Chief Robert McCullough pinpointing the source of violence in the county on WBAL radio. McCullough calls marijuana a cash crop that's led to deadly disputes in the county. The police department investigating at least 10 homicides so far.
The thing that's driving a lot of the violence is marijuana. The distribution of marijuana.
And as this new law takes effect, providing a framework for the regulated sale of weed, his department is preparing for what that means for the underground market in Baltimore County. Now, if you have a record for simple marijuana possession, you can reach out to the Public Defender's Office or Maryland Legal Aid for help to navigate the expungement process.
A beloved block party in Brooklyn turning tragic overnight. I'm Rebecca Pryor, and coming up, I will walk you through the aftermath of last night's mass shooting.
And we speak with the former Maryland Attorney General about how city officials can help prevent these mass shootings from occurring. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News Weekend Edition, all local, all morning.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
.31 now, starting with some breaking news. 2 people dead, 3 in critical condition after 30 people were shot in a mass shooting in South Baltimore. Thanks for being with us this Sunday, July 2nd. I'm Taylor Stewart. But this is a look at the scene as police were investigating that deadly mass shooting, and they continue to do so this morning. It happened at a block party shortly after midnight. Acting Police Commissioner Richard Worley held a press conference early this morning revealing that 30 people were shot and some remain in critical condition.
Good morning. Just after 12:30 a.m. this morning, officers received numerous calls for a shooting at 800 Gretna Court. Upon officers' arrival, we located multiple victims suffering from gunshot wounds. We located one female adult deceased on the scene. 9 additional victims were transported from the location to area hospitals. Additionally, we had 20 other victims walk into hospitals throughout the region. Our detectives are currently working an extensive crime scene. The 2 deceased victims we have are both adults. We have 3 other victims who are in critical condition. Our hearts and prayers are going out to the families, sending out to the families and friends of these victims, as well as the community and our entire city. This is an extensive crime scene. Our detectives are going to be here quite a while. If anyone saw anything or knows anything, please call 911 or call local Metro Crime Stoppers, 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. We have members of our fire department, Officer Emergency Management, as well as other jurisdictions working with us to try to determine a motive. Again, please call 1-866-7-LOCK-UP, and at this time I'll turn it over to Mayor Scott.
Thank you.
All right, our Rebecca Pryor is live on the scene. She's been out there for hours with coverage near Brooklyn homes. Tell us what led up to this event, Rebecca. We're told hundreds of people were gathering for what's called Brooklyn Day.
Yes, Taylor, we're told this happens every year. Hundreds of people from across the city, not just from this neighborhood, people from across the city gathering here for what is known as Brooklyn Day. It is an annual block party with free food, free drinks. They have music. From talking to people at the scene, and we've been here for a while. We were first on scene. We have been here since around 1 a.m. talking with people in the community. And from what we have gathered from them, we know that this is something that they look forward to every year. This is a very special event for this community. It is something that they cherish. But this year, unfortunately, their beloved Brooklyn Day has turned terribly tragic. This is the aftermath of the utter chaos. It's the remnants of a time-honored tradition ripped to shreds by senseless gun violence. If you look closely at the debris, you can see it's more than just broken bottles and trash. People dropped whatever was in their hands and they ran. Among what was left behind, we have seen purses, we've seen backpacks, jackets, shoes, phones, all abandoned as dozens of people ran for their lives, of which we now know at least 30 did not outrun the gunfire. Now taking a look at the back of the scene, you can see an abandoned ice cream truck even. I was also told that there was a petting zoo at today's event. Obviously, this is a day meant for families, many children attending this gathering. It's important to note now that this neighborhood is in Brooklyn homes, as you've been saying. It's public housing, which is why you can see, if we turn over to our left, there were city crews here earlier cleaning up. It seems like they have just gone away, but you can see the piles of trash and their equipment that they were using to sweep the streets. Now, we know that they've already carried away bags full of garbage, but while they can clean the streets, picking up the pieces of this tragedy will not be something that is quickly swept away. This is something that this community will be dealing with for a very long time. Reporting live in Brooklyn, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Thank you, Rebecca. This is the latest mass shooting in a string of mass shootings we've seen in Baltimore this year so far. 5 reported in 2023 alone. A political analyst and former Maryland Attorney General Doug Gansler is joining us live this morning to weigh in. Good morning to you, Doug.
Good morning.
Now, let's just get right into it. Your take on this mass shooting. We're talking about 30 people shot, at a gathering where you assume you're safe. What is your take?
Well, obviously, this is happening all too often, and this particular instance has a lot of victims, more than the one-on-one shootings or other types of shootings. And it's also different than school shootings. And this would not happen but for guns. And it's ironic that we're here on the cusp of July 4th, and you look back at sort of the freedoms and what this country is predicated upon. And one of them is not to be shot when you go to a block party. And if you look at, there's been a lot of talk recently about Supreme Court decisions, affirmative action, which obviously is going to hold us back and so forth. But the one that really started to convert this whole thing was the Heller decision, which said that guns went from a collective militia, as it says in the Second Amendment, to individuals having guns. And we need to get guns off the street. We need a strategy of reducing crime in Baltimore City. Hope is not a strategy. Throwing money at some programs is not a strategy. It has to be leadership with folks that actually understand criminal law, criminal justice, making sure it's fair, but getting guns off the street. The first thing you can do and should do is to take people that have guns, that have prior convictions, and I would imagine those who were the shooters today did, and make sure they're in the federal system so they actually are taken off the streets and removed from Baltimore City.
Doug, I got to tell you, we come on air, almost every day, and it's one person after the other every single day. Is there a need for a special session? When you talk about having real laws on the books in place, should we be calling a special session to get lawmakers back and try to wrangle this? Because it's endless here in the city.
Well, it is, and lawmakers, unless you have people that have sort of a background in criminal justice and have an understanding of what has worked in other cities, because Baltimore is an aberration. There are other cities that are suffering from crime today, but Baltimore is going up when places like Washington, D.C., crime is going down and people moving back into the city. The more people move back to the city, the better the schools are, the better the economy is, and fewer people are out there desperate and shooting each other with guns. So, yeah, you can have the laws, but actually you need law enforcement and you need the community to really do what everyone thinks they should do, which is be very upset about this and take action.
I have got one final question right now. The shooters are still out there. Police have not arrested anybody at this point. How damaging is it, the police shortage that we're currently experiencing with respect to trying to tackle these kinds of crimes?
Well, it's interesting you use the word respect, and I know you use it in a different way, but one of the things that is really crushing us today is the lack of respect for law enforcement. And we need to respect our law enforcement officers, because crime disproportionately impacts underserved communities. And so those communities is exactly where we need better police officers, more police officers, well-paid police officers, and trained police officers. So we need to give incentives to hire more officers, have it be a job that people respect, and that way people will want to become police officers as they did in years past.
All right. Former Maryland State General Attorney Doug Gansler, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to continue our coverage. All right, all morning, we're going to keep you updated here, but we're moving on now to a weather alert. It is certainly looking nice outside this morning, but we've got severe storms headed our way. Let's get over to meteorologist Amy Aronson with what we can expect today.
Yeah, that's right. Watching the radar closely. Looks empty at the moment, so that's encouraging news. But later today, not going to be the case. We're warm, we're muggy. You can feel that humidity. Mid-70s to start. We've got lots of moisture present, plus we've got a new weather maker coming in. So this morning, little misty because of the humidity. Low 70s to start. Midday is your time for some pool time if you're itching to do that this weekend. Mostly cloudy, warm, and humid at that point. Temperatures in the mid-80s. And then late this afternoon, I think after 2 o'clock, between 3 and 4, we see some storms roll into our area. Some will be feisty, strong to severe, and temperatures are heating up at that point well into the 80s, actually getting close to 90 today. Now, coming up in 10 minutes, we'll talk more about the timeline for the storms today. Also tomorrow, I'll let you know exactly what to expect leading up to the 4th of July holiday. Taylor?
Continuing coverage this morning after a mass shooting leaves 2 dead, 28 others injured. We're going to have live updates right from the scene. Back out live to South Baltimore right now, where police are investigating that mass shooting. These are live pictures of the scene this morning of the shooting that broke out just after midnight at a block party. We sent a team of 3 reporters to get information on what happened here. They say a block party on Brooklyn at the Brooklyn homes ended with gunfire. Right now, police are still searching for that shooter. Up next, a law enforcement expert and former FBI agent is going to join us live to weigh in on how he thinks officials should respond to these kinds of shootings.
And we are under weather alert both today and tomorrow now because of the potential for strong to severe storms. I've got an updated look at the timeline of both days and what to expect for the 4th of July 2 on Tuesday in just a couple of minutes. It's 8:43. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
All right, this morning's mass shooting is the 5th so far this year in Baltimore. The big question being, what can city officials do to help prevent these kinds of incidents? Law enforcement expert Tyrone Powers joins us live this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Just off the top here, 30 people shot, 3 in critical condition, 2 dead. They were at a block party. I mean, what's your take? They were at a block party.
Yeah, it's a very tragic event, and the purpose of these block parties and these community gatherings is to bring people together to actually create some unity. But we have seen historically, I mean, it shouldn't be a complete surprise to us because we know that if we have a city where violence is occurring, that we know we have individuals out there who have not been caught, who are participating in the violence, that they gravitate towards those kind of celebratory events. And at those events, they could be engaged in conflict. So it's a greater issue of all the violence that we've been experiencing over the last decade or so here in Baltimore, and we cannot expect that it would stop at the door or at the gateway or at community events. We said before, and you and I have spoken as we move into these summer months, that we had to deploy and employ force multipliers. We had to have more of a robust police presence. We have to have intelligence that understands that these events, while they are positive events and the people will put them on or trying to do a positive thing, that there will be negative people there, people who have not been caught for other homicides who will gravitate towards these events. And we have to be prepared to have a relatively robust police presence to deter that kind of behavior. I'm in Philadelphia, and they had the presidential candidates up here, and they also had protests up here going on. But because of that, they had a robust police presence. They anticipated it. They had people in place, and even when they didn't have enough officers, they had the barriers in place to make you think that it was more secure than what it was. And those are the kind of strategies that we're going to have to employ until we get the number of people that we need in order to catch the individuals who are committing the violence.
And absolutely. I think the big concern becomes at any point in time, there's only 9 officers to patrol each district in Baltimore. That is, you know, how do you tackle such a level of crime that we're seeing? We had 30 people shot in one incident. We had 2 other shootings that happened yesterday. It's a lot of resources that are just spread very thin.
Yeah, and if you think about it, Taylor, some history on that. At one point, on a night shift in Baltimore City, you would have like 67 officers patrolling the city. Just on the evening shift, 67. I mean, you had an array of officers to respond to everything. In fact, one of the reasons that police officers at that point joined the police department, because no matter how difficult things may have been in terms of violence, they knew that if they turned around, backup was going to be right there for them. And it gave the officer who responded to the scene more confidence. So the lack of police officers is a major problem, but not only here in Baltimore, but across the nation. And again, that's why I consistently talk about, and I think we should be able to demonstrate that to the public, the force multipliers that should be out. If we knew an event like that was occurring, and Baltimore City Police Departments are stretched thin, as you indicated, with the number of officers they had, then the sheriff department should need to be on site. The Mass Transit Administration police officers need to be on site. The school police officers need to be on site. And we need to do that immediately, because we are already in July. I don't know what plan doesn't allow for that to take place right away. I think you're right, but we only can expect so much from Baltimore City Police Department with the number of officers they have. But on the other hand, we have a city full of police officers.
And last question here, because no matter what side you are in the political aisle, it's hard to disagree that Baltimore has too many ghost guns, too many illegal guns on the street. Do lawmakers need to call some sort of special session to help give law enforcement guidance on what they can do? Does there need to be some sort of session call to really rein this in?
But let me say this to you. Yeah, that may help. But more importantly, it is a increase in involvement and interaction with the federal partners and other partners. Because if you called the legislative session and if they voted on some particular bill to deal with this, it still would have an implementation date that would be some time out that wouldn't help us this summer. What we can do immediately, and I haven't worked for the FBI, is the FBI could send the resources here, the ATF. Maybe they're already here doing some work, but they have to increase that immediately, and they have the apparatus to provide the intelligence to not only catch people, to help a higher clearance rate, but also to anticipate what may happen at these events and give the police leadership in Baltimore City the strategic knowledge to address these before they happen. We have the capability, we just haven't had the will or the skill. And if we think the public is going to come up with solutions for dramatically, the public are victims. And so we can yell and scream at the public all the time about they need to get more involved there. Well, we know that, but right now they're victims and they're expecting the experts to come up with expert answers to dramatically reduce crime in the city.
I'll leave it right there. Thank you so much, Tyrone Powers,
Thank you.
law enforcement expert.
8:50 on this Sunday morning. We are under weather alert today due to the potential for strong to severe storms. Right now, we are seeing a little bit of sun break through the haze. We've got a lot of humidity on our hands, too, so it's sticky out there. Mid-70s to start, a southwesterly wind. Dew points also in the 70s. That means humidity is noticeable. You can't miss it when you step outside this morning. We are all dry to start, but we've got a new weather maker on the way. Heat to the south, storms to the north, and this weather maker is going to head our direction. And as it arrives, we're actually also tracking some heat here, the start of heat wave. So a lot happening today. First, we heat up close to 90. Then we see these showers and storms bubble up off to our west. I think they arrive in the Baltimore area between 2 and 3 o'clock. They're scattered, and they continue through this evening. So through about 5, 6 o'clock, we get some pretty feisty storms rolling through. Even later tonight, another round of some showers close to 11. And we're going to repeat this whole setup again tomorrow as a cold front comes through. So it's dry to begin, hot and steamy, and then we get some scattered showers and storms Monday afternoon, and especially Monday evening, closer to 5 o'clock, I think, tomorrow, lasting through about sunset. Here's a breakdown of today's storm threats. Between 2 and 9 o'clock, that's our highest risk time for these threats. Hail and damaging wind gusts being our top 2 concerns. Downpours also an issue. Threat for tornadoes looks minimal, luckily. The good news is all these storms out of here by the 4th of July. Temperatures will stay hot and steamy, though. We're in the mid-80s to kick things off, kick the festivities off on July 4th. Now, coming up in a couple of minutes, we will take a look ahead at your full 7-day forecast. Taylor?
All right, here's today's steals and deals. Take a look.
The following segment is sponsored by Knocking.
Hey, everybody. We all spend a lot of our lives in our cars. And wouldn't you like that time that you do spend here to be as safe as possible? It's scary to think about, but there are over 6 million car accidents each year in the U.S., and that's a huge number. But one of the ways we can find peace of mind is through how we protect ourselves. This is the Minolta dash cam. Now, if you're ever involved in a car accident, you could have supporting evidence at your fingertips. Think about that. This camera comes with a windshield mount, and it's really easy to set up. It has a wide angle and tiltable lens, and it uses HD video, so it won't miss anything going on in front of you, including license plate numbers. It also has this large screen, so you can actually see the footage that you record. And the most important part of the camera is the G sensor, which will automatically detect a collision and make sure it gets recorded. Now, beyond accidents, think about the added security of having a camera like this in your car. Break-ins, road rage, unsafe parking lots. Think of this like a security camera for your car that you can feel good about. We are offering a special offer right now. Get one for yourself. Think about getting one for your kid going away to school, elderly parents, anyone you want to keep safe. Take advantage of this deal. Go to asadeals.com.
All right, back out live to our breaking news coverage here in South Baltimore at the Brooklyn Homes area. You can see police out there, still a very active scene. It looks like cleanup is underway. We're going to continue to monitor this throughout the morning here.
And we're also under weather alert today, and actually now tomorrow too. We've got 2 stormy days ahead of us. Not all day. Today is mainly late afternoon through early evening hours. So the time frame for today would be between 2 and 9 o'clock tonight. Otherwise, it's going to be hot and steamy with highs close to 90. We're also tracking the potential for some feisty storms tomorrow afternoon and evening. Same threats apply, damaging wind gusts and hail, and also some downpours. This heat wave actually looks like it will continue through midweek. It's actually our first of the season. Fortunately, rain and storm chances drop off for the 4th of July, so we are in better shape for the holiday. And then we're actually mostly dry on Wednesday. But that doesn't last. We are tracking another round of unsettled weather starting on Thursday, some spotty storms at that point, and it looks like they become more scattered again both Friday and Saturday, and that's going to bring our temperatures down from the 90s back into the 80s. Now, there is an updated article on our website. You can't miss it. It's on the front page. It describes all the threats associated with the weather alert day there. I'm also going to hop on Facebook Live, so if you have any questions you want to ask me about the weather alert and what storms we're expecting, you can always join me there in just a little bit. That'll be just about an hour.
All right, sounds good. And in about an hour and a half, we're back here live with more updates on the mass shooting in South Baltimore. Stick with Fox 45 Morning News.